Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back on the Mike, the premier business radio program. We're coming to you from the ESPN studios. It looks a little different. We got some announcement that we're going to make, but it is an honor here. So we're coming to you. This is part of the Mike King Biz Radio Network on the Mike, which is ESPN Richmond 106.1 daily from 5 to 7 a.m. The Choice 105.3, as well as International Business Growth Radio. So we're coming to you. You can follow me on all social platforms at hashtag on the mic with Mike RVA, as well as Mike King Biz. So this is a business show. We are the premier business radio program around. As I said, I'm your host. We left the light on, and I was over at the Chesterfield Technical Center yesterday, and I knew, I have a crack staff. I do. And I said to my man Tyron Frazier, I'm like, hey, I'll see you in a couple weeks. Because, we left the light on and friends come back. And he said he led the look of bewilderment on his face, which was, weeks? I'm going to see you tomorrow. Okay, that's what happens. So we have the Chesterfield Education Foundation as well as the superintendent of Chesterfield Schools. All right, so Tyron, it's like I always say, cool people know cool people. Let the listeners know who you brought with you.
Yep. So brought the amazing superintendent for Chesterfield County Public Schools, Dr. Merv Doherty, who has been in the role now for 4 years.
Starting 5, yeah.
To start, yeah, going into 5 years. An amazing superintendent, all about our kids. All means all. That's his like tagline along the way, and he really does care about every single student. Almost 65,000 students, almost 8,000 employees in the school division. I'm sure he'll tell you some stats about it, but Dr. Doherty helps to bring the visions to life for our kids to make sure every single student in Chesterfield County Public Schools has an amazing education, and make sure every single employee in our school division also has an amazing experience. They grow, and we all learn together. So it's my honor to introduce Dr. Merv Doherty, Superintendent of Schools, Chesterfield County Public Schools.
Alrighty, Dr. Doherty, you took this position and not knowing what was on the horizon, and all of a sudden, the pandemic hits. Sir, welcome to Richmond, and welcome to Chesterfield. Let's talk about who you are and what you do, and then we're going to talk about how you you had an idea of what you wanted to do, and then something changed the whole world.
Well, people talk about the struggles through the pandemic, and I got to say, we took a different approach. We wanted to look at it as opportunities.
Okay.
And it was an opportunity to maybe change how we were doing business and education, and think about how we can further reach students and parents and have greater opportunities and not stay in the same old gauntlet. And the opportunity to give you an example, we opened up the first pre-K center in Chesterfield County down off Harrogate Road for 400 students who are 3 and 4 year old who come from all Title I schools, and now we have an opportunity when they enter kindergarten to be ahead of the game and not behind. Now, when you think about opportunities to, our tag is all means all. And how do we make sure that all of our students have equal opportunities to advanced classes, to PSET and SAT opportunities, to CTE programs, and the career technical issues. And the opportunity is to think outside. We actually started 17 initiatives during the pandemic to get us ready to move at a speed of light, basically, into the new era, which was after the pandemic. And I'm really excited about what's going on in Chesterfield County. Example with our internships for businesses. We have over 250 businesses that take interns for us.
Okay.
We have the amazing opportunity that our students will leave our career programs and have jobs even before they leave, and the opportunity to expand those programs to get more students. We will run, 1,800 students through our career programming and have a wait list. So we're trying to expand that as well, because we understand our region has a need for employees, and we want our students to be ready to go into those fields. And not everyone has to go to college to have a great job. And those opportunities are where we prepare them. So we revamped our entire CT programming, and we've seen unbelievable numbers of our students, opportunities who are going to college or in careers, and even students who aren't sure about what's going on. Our businesses help us. I think one of the things that we're really excited about during this 4-year period is we've expanded our opportunities with the business community to partner to benefit not only the business, but the students and the families.
One of the things that you talked about, we're going to go back to when you started with like the pre-K. Back when my kids, back in the Stone Ages, when my kids went to school, if they didn't have a total meltdown, you were considered a good parent. What's required of kids going to kindergarten and first grade now is a lot different. And for you guys to do that, and they always talk about the foundation of education being early education, that gives those kids something right there to build upon to make life easier as they go through school.
Times have changed.
Yes,
You had
yes,
children
sir.
in school when I had children in school. Tyron still has been there, so he needs a lot of prayer.
He does.
But the opportunity is when a student comes into kindergarten, they could be behind a million words. They may have never had a book in their hand to read. I know that maybe viewers may find that hard to believe, but it happens. And so the opportunity for us to bring students in, to show them how school works, to get them oriented to the classroom, to working with other people, to working with their teachers. And the goal for the school is to make sure every child, when they enter kindergarten, they are reading. In last year's class, every child could read a simple book. I was down at the school yesterday down at the CECLA, and we gave every kid a Christmas gift. We gave them a book,
Yeah.
3 and 4 year olds. And people are saying, well, why would that happen? When children understand the importance of reading, that it is something they'll have for the rest of their life, and they can explore the world, the universe, by reading, that gets them excited. And also give students books they like to read about. If you like trucks, if you like radios, if you like being on TV and the radio, give them books about it. And it excites them to improve fluency, to improve vocabulary, and to improve comprehension.
Well, so so we have a kindergarten, a first grader for our grandson, and there's times that we go by something, we'll hear him read, and me and my wife would just stop, and it's kind of like, wow, no, he can read.
Mm-hmm.
It's not they're picking out a word here or there. So that does say something. On the mic of Mike, we have Dr. Doherty here, Tyron Frazier, Chesterfield's finest. All right, Dr. Doherty, how do you set the culture for an organization to get business buy-in, to understand we're training the next generation? Sometimes that can be a little bit dicey.
Well, one, you have to be willing to listen to the business community. What are they seeing from our graduates? And we have a great opportunity to do that. We have business meetings. We have our CT program. We have over 80 businesses are on the CTE committees. We are involved with the chamber, both RVA and Chesterfield Chamber, which they give us a lot of input. I think one thing that Chesterfield has been known for, and we're very grateful for, is that we have a very strong educational system.
Okay.
And the point is, are we backing up what we're saying by our product? Our product are our students graduating. And we have a very high respect of not only the community, but I think the business community has a very high respect for our students, that they are coming out into the workforce ready and willing to work in those fields. I think you have to build this over time. And as you continue to build it, you also show that you're trying to meet their needs as well, helping our students be ready for out there. You don't want to have a career program and there are no jobs out there for the career program. So that's like graduate from college with a degree and not having a place to work. Here, we're listening to, and we've been changing some of our program to meet the needs for the next 5 to 10 years of the community. That excites the business community, but the other thing is bringing the business community into us. We have speakers all the time. We had a job fair for students who were just looking for a job. We had 81 businesses show up saying, come with a good job. These students aren't sure what they want to do. They may be in a gap year, help them out. So we're trying to make sure that our business community knows that we are here for them. It's a win situation when they hire our students because it encourages other students to be involved in career pathways.
There you go. So on the mic, Mike, Chesterfield's finest here. Until I had met Tyron Frazier, I'd never heard or understood what the foundation was.
Yeah.
So we always think that you know it's the school district and all the things you're trying to make magic, you're out of whatever. But you guys, the foundation, provides a lot of the things that the school district. So, all right, man, it is your time to shine.
So,
Tell everybody about the foundation.
We need his money.
and it's the community's money. So it's the if you think about every major public university or college that's out there in the world, right? They have a nonprofit entity or a foundation attached to them that raise millions and millions of dollars. The universities that I've gone to all send me letters and say, would you please support? And absolutely, I support Norfolk State or University of Richmond or wherever else, right? And so we should do the same for our own school division, our own community in which we live. Every major school division, every public school division in the Richmond area has public education foundations attached to them to do the work of the community. Why, you say? Because tax dollars only go so far. There's only so much that Dr. Doherty can do with the gracious funding that he receives from local government, right? Keeping the lights on in the buildings, making sure we have the staff that we need, the buses, the on the road that do hundreds of thousands of miles every single year, right? Making sure our kids get fed. That's important. But if there are things such as you mentioned the pandemic, where where local, federal, state government, we're trying to figure out what this pandemic looks like to make sure people can stay safe and remain safe. Learning still continued, had to continue in all of our schools divisions. And how do we do that? Through connectivity and technology. But what we found is that there was a gap. There were about 3,000 students in the school division that didn't have steady internet access. So they may have just used a cell phone that an aunt or uncle or a mom or a sister, someone had. But once that cell phone was out of the house, they lost connectivity. So we worked to raise about $200,000 in a couple of months within our community partners, our philanthropic partners, individuals, foundations, businesses, to make sure people could, our students could get the connectivity we need. But then there are other programs. Dr. Doherty mentioned CCLA, and we work to bring partners such as the YMCA together to make sure that kids that want to get dropped off at 7 a.m. because their parents have to be to work at 8 and school doesn't start until 9, there are programs in place for kids to go there that early in the morning to eat breakfast, to be ready to go and ready to learn at 3 years old, mind you. Now these are 3-year-olds, right? Removing barriers. Dr. Doherty talks a lot. All means all. His biggest thing is let's take away the barriers, and you may hear him talk about that a little bit later. One of those barriers was the SAT. SAT. Some people love it, some people don't. My hope is that at some point the world shifts away from those type of tests. But for right now, that is the gatekeeper for a lot of our kids to understand that, if college is even an option. So providing the SAT free of charge and expanding the PSAT test for our 8th through 11th graders is important. We stepped in, Dr. Doherty said, hey, I want to remove the barrier. If a kid wants to take the test free of charge, don't have to pay $50. That's a barrier for some of our kids. Let's remove it. That's what we did for 2 years. We worked to get that removed, went to the community and said, this is important. Almost 15,000 students took the PSAT test. All of our 11th graders took the SAT test free of charge. All the other kids that were there in the day, and they took it at their schools. And that's the other thing, right? So not, back when I was in
you
college,
had
to go somewhere else, right? If I would have to take the test at my high school in Norfolk at Booker T, then that would have been so much easier than going to some other place. That anxiety has already increased. So many other things that occur with that. No, take it in your school. Have breakfast, come there, take the SAT free of charge. And that still happens today. That is a part of the fabric of Chesterfield County Public Schools. And so you think about our work, it's not just out there raising the money. In some instances, education foundations are also the research and development arm of the school division to say, all right, we'll go take this concept, put it into action, and likely it works and it's great, and then the school division works to implement it into their budget so it becomes a fabric. Sometimes that doesn't always happen too, right? But most of the time in Chesterfield, everything that, Dr. Doherty can't get through the budget, we work hard to try to make sure that the community can support that work.
There you go, Tyron Fraser, Chesterfield Education Foundation, Dr. Doherty, Chesterfield School District. All right, gentlemen. I got to give a shout out. Linda Bazuzzi is an artist, but she was a school teacher for a bunch of years. So, there's a special place for teachers and educators now because, so shout out to Linda Bazuzzi, who is out there over at our good friends over at Crossroads Art Center. They're one of the sponsors of the program. So, as I always say, I love the sponsors. They help us stay on the air as we're talking about important topics. So, Dr. Doherty, what is something that you would have never done prior to the pandemic that you realize now that thing works and that's going to be a part of what we do going forward?
Just one? Okay.
Just one. You know what? You got me. It's like I got a laundry list of those things. We never would have been able to do that.
We realized the importance when our students were during the pandemic and the importance of encouragement of reading.
Okay.
And the opportunity, and this is where the foundation really helps us out. So we did a pilot, and we went into a full push of all of our schools having a book machine. Now, when you think of a vending machine, all it is books. And our goal was for every student throughout the day have an opportunity to get a book. So our schools have developed plans on how a student can get their their ticket, their coin. They go and they select the book they want to read. And so the machine usually holds 300 books, and I know they fill them up at least once a week. The kids love them. They can't wait to get the book. They pick the book they want to read. I'm a big fan of students learning in the reading by reading things they like.
Because they will do it.
They will do it. If I like sports, I'm going to read a book. If I want to read about Michael Jordan or LeBron James or football, or if I want to learn about science or astronomy or whatever it is. Tyra and the foundation has helped us because, one, help us secure funding from outside of Chesterfield County to get some of the machines in the schools, but also to help us supply the books for the schools to use them. Because when you think about running through 300 books a clip, and that can happen every other week, that's a lot of books. That's a lot of money, and getting businesses, other foundations to support our reading initiative. We can do a lot in the classroom. We can give you the Lexia program, the My Own program you can read, but there's something about having a hard copy book
That is for
that
sure.
makes it exciting. And what we're trying to do is build libraries in the home of the student. And as they go through our system, they're getting more books to put into the system and even exchanging books with each other. And that's an exciting thing. Instead of worrying about the toys I get, let me worry about the books I get. And that's the exciting point about learning.
Let's talk about the student that you guys see now as opposed to 20 years ago. What's the difference?
I think the difference is in society. What people seem to forget is that anything that happens in society
Yes.
happens in our schools.
Yes, it does.
And I am concerned about the breakdown of the overall family, which society is concerned about. It affects our children greatly. We're getting ready to go into the holiday season, but a lot of our students, it's not a happy time, and they struggle not being in school. We've talked to a lot of our students. They love being in school. They're with their friends. They get to be involved in activities. They get to talk to their teachers. They get to talk to counselors. They get to see adults. They love that. This period over the break, anytime we have a break, is sort of challenging.
It can be problematic.
Yes. And so I think the changes that have occurred is that even though people want to talk about how important education is, it's not really acted out that way.
For sure.
And that's a concern we have. We have a lot of parent involvement. Chesterfield, we are spoiled. Our parents come out and support our. We have the Watchdog program with dads. Parents come out and volunteer in our schools. But our children in need, especially in poverty, has grown greatly. When we have over 35,000 students that get free and reduced lunch in our system.
There you go. So we got Dr. Doherty here. We have Tyron Frazier. Gentlemen, I have one good question per interview, and this is it. And I asked this for two groups. One are people running for political office or politicians. The other ones are educators. How do you guys get the next generation of educators? Because it's rough. Back in the day, the teacher had to be the teacher. Now, a teacher has to be the psychologist, a nutritionist, all those things. And everybody loved the teachers and want to pay educators a ton of money during the pandemic. And then when it was over, we kind of slid back to where we were before. How do you encourage or find the next educators to go into the classroom and be on the front line?
That is a great question.
That's the only one I got.
But I have a white paper on that one, so I'm gonna.
Okay, then see, that's what it is. I'm pulling out that's what the credentials come in for.
Sure.
Here you go.
But so one thing is that you're absolutely correct. We have to start thinking about education as a business, and how do we get our employees to work for us? One, we do have to increase the pay a lot more than what it is. I would agree 100%. I'd love to see starting salary at $60,000 for teachers in our area. I mean, when you want to attract people. But we cannot depend on the colleges and universities to give us the people that we need. I gave you an example that in Chesterfield this year, we did a career switcher. We've had 3 career switcher job fairs. So you have a degree, and you say, I'd like to start working with children. And it may be a science degree, it may be a biology, it may be a mathematics degree, it could be a literature degree in English. And so we bring you in, we help you pass the practice exam, and then we hire you as an annual sub. That means you can work all year for us. we give you a mentor, and we're working with you to get your certification. We've hired over 200 career switchers who've come to us and said, I want to work with kids, and which I find exciting because they've come to us. And they go through the normal process. They go through the training. We have opportunities for professional development. We find that one avenue. We also look at people that are in our system that are not teaching, that didn't realize they're only 1 or 2 credits away, or maybe even passing a practice exam to get their provisional license, and they become teaching, and they worked in the system. There are multiple ways to do this. We just can't continue to think about the way we did it 20 years ago.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I would just add one more thing to that is around first and second grade, most kids want to be teachers. We also want to harness that energy and keep it going. So making sure that their experiences as they go through, 8, 10, 12 more years of public education is a positive one. So they're put in front of people that are positive, that speak highly about it. Educators we have to promote their profession. We shoot our own selves in the foot. We promote every other career pathway except our own.
And Mike, we started a program called Mirror Me through the help of the foundation to not only start our children thinking about it in high school, about helping them get to college with incentives to go into teaching, but also speaking with the students in college now about thinking about coming into teaching with some incentives. And with Virginia State and Virginia Commonwealth University, they've on board with our Mirror Me program, and we're all excited about the future of that as well, growing our own.
There you go. As they say in church, I'd be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to my sister principal, Carrie King Hill, up in Pennsylvania, right outside of Philly. So, the education piece there is very important about what you guys are doing. Alrighty, so here we are. Everyone was in school. Kids were complaining, I don't want to go to school or whatever. Pandemic, people didn't want to go to work. Everybody was living for a 3-day weekend. And then we got 3-day weekend after 3-day weekend after 3-day weekend, and kids realized that they wanted to be back in school. People realized they kind of okay, they're the people who don't want to go back to work, but for whatever reason. But people realized they like the needed people. Let's talk about when you guys started getting the kids back, and what's the mood in the schools now compared to pre-pandemic times.
Asking the day before the holiday break could be challenging.
Yeah, that is true. They got their eye on we're out of here.
Well, I think midway through the pandemic, people realized that what we were doing by mandates wasn't good for the kids.
Right.
It wasn't good for adults. We still see a residual effect because of this. I think coming back and talking with the students, we did a slow burn back. Then we went full tilt. They were excited to be back in school. They had to learn to be around people again.
Yeah, that's true.
And I think our society is still hurting from that they not only our children but our adults, but to learn to be back in. And so the first part of the year, last year, really the first semester, we were really working on how to be around people and how to respect people. I think we lost that issue. We weren't around people, so we forgot how to respect people. This year, we're still walking through that. We believe in our plan. We have a 4-year plan on how we're going to get back to catching up from that 2-year problem of the pandemic. But we're seeing our attendance is up. We're one of the few school divisions in the nation that are growing. We're over 1,000 students again this year. We'll soon, within 5 years, we'll be between 68 and 70,000. So around not only in Chesterfield, but around the country, we're one of the few school divisions that are growing. And the opportunity for students to realize, hey, school's okay. Parents are saying, and this year we've noticed more parents now volunteering to come back in. And so one of the things that we love about Chesterfield is that the more involvement we have with our parents, being within the schools, helping out. The exciting thing I saw, I get to go to a lot of football games, basketball games, wrestling matches. Every football game I went to this year, the stands were packed. The kids it was phenomenal. The students out involved. The school spirit was phenomenal. There's a lot we have to do. There's still a lot we have to manage to get through there. But going to volleyball games, I was at a basketball game the other day, and the student section was packed. The kids are excited, cheering on their friends, and I think this is one thing that we pulled from the pandemic that helped us, that there were friendships that we wanted to make sure stayed really close and tight. And after school activities, going to competitions, the theater, band competitions, choral competitions, just after school stuff. Our kids love that, and involvement with parents, they love it as well.
There you go, Dr. Doherty, Tyron Fraser. All right, Tyron, we'll start with you. Let's talk. So, Dr. Doherty, you talked about all means all.
Mm-hmm.
Let's talk about setting the culture as the CEO, the president, whatever a person is, the leader of an organization. How do you set the culture, a winning culture?
That's a really good question, right? So you heard Dr. Doherty talk about business partnerships and relationships and listening, right? And so listening is important, but also understanding that, right, you are not, as a CEO, president, executive director, leader of an organization, you're in a position for the organization, but you are not always, in many instances, the smartest person in the room. You build a team, a collaborative team of strong people to work and move the organization along. Your title may be different, but your goal and your traveling plan is together, all together at all times. So I listen, I ask for feedback, I ask for input. I may have to make a tough decision that may go against what others say, but that's the decision as a leader that I'm making. Most of the time, we're making decisions in the same pathway together because you have now buy-in to go with that, and then you're winning moving forward to whatever that plan or whatever that project is together on it. And then you debrief hard. You debrief hard, and you talk about the things, the challenges that may have existed, but you talk about the winning, the celebration, everything that was good about it, to try to take it and move it ahead. But the other thing I would say, Mike, is for a winning culture is you want to make sure that you do exactly what you say you're going to do, right? As a team and as an organization. If I have people on my team that will overcommit in a sense and underdeliver, that's not what I want.
Okay.
I want to make sure that we commit to what we're going to do, and then we over deliver on the promise that we made. And so if Dr. Doherty says, Tyron, we really want to get books, or we really want to make sure our kids in Recovery Academy have exactly what they need, I'm going to push it like nobody's business. Our organization, our 20 board members that are there, our 4 team members that we have, our anybody, our donors, they're all going to know about it because that is what is important to us, and we all agree that that's what the move is going to be. So it's a lot of great synergy, a lot of good time together. There's also hard conversations that we always have, but I'm going to be honest and transparent, to the extent that I can be with my team to make sure they understand here's the direction that we're going in. So.
Yeah, so Dr. Doherty, along those same lines, so a while back, and even yesterday at the state of Chesterfield, a lot of times decisions that are made today are made for down the road. And I know when I talked to Dr. Casey or Chris Winslow, we're talking about Lego coming to Chesterfield, which is a very big deal. But that project that allowed them to come was a deal that was done 30 years ago. So a lot of times, because the provisions, the land that needed to be there set aside, needed to be set aside to give you the opportunity to do it now. Some of the decisions you make today are for things down the road that you may be gone at that point. How do you make those, and how do you get buy-in from the people who are going to make the tough decisions with you?
There's no saying you have to win the hearts before you win the minds.
I heard
and
that.
What we try to make sure is that we have integrity, and that we have a proven record of things that we have implemented through initiatives work, and that they're just not a drive-by. Getting kids reading, our Recovery High School Academy to help kids get through addictions, the opportunity to give every child the equal shot. My job isn't to make you a scientist. My job is to give you the opportunity to become a scientist. And so if we keep the door open for everybody, they learn a great deal about growth in themselves, that whatever jobs are out there in the future, which we don't know, but we're preparing for them to think and research and take chances and take a risk. We're excited about the businesses that are coming in because we are expanding. We've already talked about expanding, even before we knew Lego was coming or Plenty was coming in, about expanding our career programs, making sure our students will be ready for whatever comes out. And I think that's one of the things that attract businesses to our area, that our students are well prepared for what the future is going to hold. Mm-hmm. And that's, I just want when I leave here that that all means all, and I meant it. And I make everybody happy with 65,000 students?
Oh,
No.
sure.
But like what we want to do is say, you got a shot. And when students and parents have hope, the sky's the limit.
That is true. One of the parts about so before I came here, I used to work for AccuWeather, and I remember the school districts, whether the school was going to be open or closed. Boy, there were times that people were upset with the superintendent or the person who delivered the news, and I would always ask the superintendents, "You're just sitting there watching. You have to make the call that affects so many things. I mean, people are going to be upset on both sides. Let's talk about, and this is sort of a fun thing right here. When you're determining the weather, and all of a sudden you say it's going to be, all right, we are not going to have school today, a bunch of the kids are probably going, yay.
The same parents are not.
The parents are not, because all of a sudden it turned into a, what are we going to do today? Let's talk a little bit about some of the things like the paraprofessionals and the people who, we've talked about the teachers, but there are a lot of other people who help schools run,
Yes.
and that's the place. Those are people, whether it's the janitors or the staff. Because when I went to school, there were the kids who you went to the regular school, and then there were the kids who went to VOTEC, and you didn't know the kids who went to. They were just in the neighborhood, and it's only now when something breaks you think back to those kids who went to VOTEC and be like, oh Lord, I bet that guy's doing pretty good, because I'm scared when a plumber comes,
Right.
because he is important. So talk about like the paraprofessional staff and the folks who are like the glue that holds school
See,
together.
you opened the door for me for the weather. So just so people know, as we have a team of 8 people and we also that are about the county, because we're a big county. We're 431 square miles, and we have contact with our county police that are throughout the area, and then we usually, if we can't make the decision the night before, we have a 4 to 4:30 phone call. But we make decision at the time, and you could. My team of there's 9 people that get on the call. They're extremely happy to hear from me at 4 in the morning.
I'm sure.
And but we have to make the call that early, and I have 3 weather apps on my phone. We have other people watching the local weather. We use national weather a lot, and so those are we take very seriously. I will always make the call safety first for our kids. People in our buildings, fantastic. From our people in the offices who deal with the public every day and deal with a lot of, phone calls and people coming in, to our guidance counselors, to our school nurses, to our instructional aides, to our day porters, our night custodians, to our bus drivers, to bus aides. We are a 8,000 employee business, and everybody does their job. And when they do their job well, everything runs smoothly. When you think about feeding our children, the nutrition workers, this is why we are always having a job fair, because we're always hiring. We will never be 100% full. That's an impossible task.
We never forget the lunch lady. You know
That's
what I'm saying? You just, it's kind of like the gym teacher, the guidance counselor, and the lunch lady. Those are people that you always remember. Really quickly before we get out of here, let's touch on this safety thing right here, which is important these days, no matter whether it's in school or whatever. What's the culture? How do you prepare kids, or what happens when something happens in the world, and now you guys have to go back into the school and talk to kids? And also, what should parents do to help their kids along those lines?
When we do videos beginning of the year where we talk about this, but we always want our parents to talk to their children about what they should and should not bring to school. And I think the more older our children get, sometimes the less we talk to them. And I think the older they get, the more we should talk to them. But we try to send a strong message. One, we have you have to be let into a school when the school day. So we have air cameras out front, and they'll let you in. You have to sign in. You just can't walk into a building. We are working with all of our schools in the next 2 years to be fully vestibuled, so you'll have to walk into the office before you can ever come into a building. All of our schools by this spring, all 67 of our buildings will be fully cameraed inside and out with digital 3D cameras, so we'll be able to drill down. We are, working constantly with the county police and the state police. We practice drills. We have a summer drill every summer with our our law enforcement and first responders that we do with them. We constantly have drills in our schools for our students. When there's an incident anywhere in the country of a shooting, we go into a high alert. We don't want anything to be a copycat, and so we stay more, we have a little higher expectations of what we're looking for. But we try to do a lot of discussion and training, not only with our students, how important it is for them to be safe, and we all have a responsibility for safety, not just the superintendent, not just the principal. Everyone in the building has a responsibility for safety. And our students do a pretty good job of that as well.
Yeah.
One of the things I had seen, they asked one of the children in one of the school shootings to use, we practiced it.
Yeah.
It's something that is the time that we live in right now.
It's not just a fire drill anymore.
No, it's like, okay, why would, because things happen, and the kids are a lot more mature than they were in the past. And so when I grew up, we lived in Philadelphia, and then we moved 20 miles outside of Philly to this town, Lansdowne, North Wales area, Pennsylvania. There was a big difference between the kids out there didn't know what the kids in Philly, it was a different world. Now everybody knows the same thing. I don't care where the information has leveled the playing field, or whether, however you want to look at it. So, congratulations on all the great things you guys are doing over in Chesterfield. Already, Doc, what do you guys have? Did you like to let our listeners know new and exciting things where people need to be on the lookout for Chesterfield schools?
Well, we just talked about the recovery school to help our students. That's a school that we're really excited about. It helps with Region 1. So all 15 school divisions, Region 1, we can help students who are trying to recover from an addiction issue. And we're seeing some really good success from that. I think the things that people need to know, that we are always pushing the envelope to making sure our kids get the very best. And that I think we have fantastic people in our schools that love their kids. We don't do it right 100% of the time, but I bet we do it 99% of the time. And we really appreciate the parents and how hard they've worked to make sure their kids are ready for school.
There you go. Tyron Frazier, what's happening new and exciting over at the foundation?
Yeah, so we are working hard to do the initiatives and the pieces of things that we need to do, making sure that our teachers don't have to go in their pockets for certain projects or ideas they want to bring to life. So we're hoping to give away $100,000.
$100,000.
$100,000 in grants and for our teachers and school staff to do that. But I will say that the biggest thing ever is that we are as well appreciative to the community, folks like yourself, Mike, and what you're doing to bring, shine a light on what we're doing. But also our partners, our philanthropic partners, individuals, whether it's giving $5 or $50,000 or $500,000, it makes a difference. We put it to use. It goes right back to our kids, our teachers, our staff within our school division. And so we can't thank you all enough for everything that you do. And get involved, volunteer, mentor, mega mentors, find organizations that work and partner with our schools and our students, because it's important. We need you, right? And so the other side of it, you heard Dr. Doherty say, this going into holiday season is a rough time for our students and our adults in our buildings, because we want everyone to come back. But as a school division, every school division across the country feels the same stress along that way. And so, be kind to one another, speak. Bring your authentic self to the work, to a child, to an adult, because you never know what's going on in someone's life. It can make a difference. A smile and a hello makes a difference in a person's life.
There you go. Oh, wait. So, this is important to education. So we got Linda Bazuzzi, who's still watching. Dr. Tabitha Spurlock.
Yeah, CCPS alum.
There you go. So there you go. Shout out to Dr. Tab, who's out there. Alrighty, so folks, this is on the mic. Mike, I'd like to thank the gentleman for coming in. Another thing is we're going to have our good friends from Poplar Springs. They're going to come on. They're going to jump on in the next day or so. We're going to talk about the suicide things that are going on and how important it is out there. So, like he said, a smile goes a long way. Take a look and make sure we're watching out for each other. That is the PSA for this program. So we'd like to thank you for listening. This is On the Mic. And Mike, as I always say, hey, make sure you take care of our sponsors and advertisers, because I always say, I don't work for the radio stations. My programs just air here on a daily basis. So we'd like to thank our sponsors, because I say the microphone ain't free. Plus, my grandkids need stuff. So I'm just telling you right now, that's what my wife says. I have to say that. So we got to run On the Mic with Mike. We'll talk to you soon. Take care.